If you're a sports fan, make sure you go check out SportsCastr for all of your sports needs. Whether you're a football fan, basketball fan, or baseball fan, this app is the perfect way to get news for your team and is an app I personally use myself in case any of you guys want to check out my pregame, halftime, or postgame streams. I'll leave a link in the description below. What is up, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global back here with another video, and in this one, I want to address the issues with the Patriots wide receivers and quarterback Tom Brady. In the beginning of the season, it looked like the Patriots were starting off pretty well on offense. Of course, the running game was not where it should be. It was having its own issues, but the Patriots were able to rely back on this passing game. But we're looking back here at the past few weeks, and the dynamic is really switching. It seems like the running game is starting to make its way back up, while the passing game is having big issues. And you can clearly see that this is not what Tom Brady is about. Okay, he's not happy with his receivers, and he's not happy playing on offense, especially compared to how we've seen him in the past. Okay, the other week we saw Tom Brady blaring at his wide receivers. They need to play better, they need to play faster, they need to play smarter. And sadly, this is just a dynamic that is not getting through the receivers' heads. And you can see Tom Brady's frustration. You can see the point where Tom Brady is just frustrated. I mean, he's just giving up at this point because he realizes that there's only so much that he can do. As a quarterback, he can try to motivate. He can try to put the ball in the best place possible. But in the end, it's their job to be where they're supposed to, and it's their job to catch the ball. Let's flash back to a couple weeks prior to this Texans game when the Patriots went to the Eagles and they beat them. Post-game, Tom Brady doesn't look himself. Tom Brady looks like he just came off of a loss. We also did not get one of those post-Tom Brady wins on social media, which showed how much Tom Brady took that Eagles win as more of a loss. And why was he so upset? It's because of the offense. Brady clearly is not happy with how things have been, especially when the Patriots have always been an offense-first team. Always, okay? It's always been the offense that has carried the team. That's always been the specialty of the New England Patriots. And now it's the defense. And that's something Tom Brady admitted himself, that the defense is what is carrying this entire team. And when you have an aging quarterback that is contemplating, retirement year after year and seeing where he is mentally and physically, you don't want him feeling like he's not important and like he's not having fun anymore. One of the big reasons that the Patriots passing game is not where it should be, why it is so lackluster, and why the chains are really not moving the way they should be, is because of the drops. Okay, now that's not the only thing, but that is definitely one of the main things. Now, like I said, the Patriots have looked a lot more to the passing game than the running game because of the issues that the running game has had early on in the season, and Tom Brady actually leads every quarterback in the NFL with the most passed attempts. So, one, it shows that the Patriots are pretty predictable with what they're going to do on offense. They're going to be a pass-heavy team, which is going to make them predictable. Now, the surprising thing here is that Patriots star receiver and Tom Brady's go-to guy and really only guy at this point, Julian Edelman, leads the league in drops. And that is definitely uncharacteristic of Julian Edelman. Edelman has always been a hard-hitting, elusive, fast, sure-handed wide receiver, but something has just been a little bit off, okay? He's had some wrong routes that he's ran along with his drops and along with the fact that he's committed more mistakes and penalties so far this season than I think I've ever seen in a single season out of Julian Edelman. Now, his stats are definitely there, okay? There's no question about the production he's putting on the field, but at the same time, let's look at what his stats would be like if he hadn't been dropping balls, okay? What it would look like if he wasn't making these mental errors. Now, although Julian Edelman leads the league in drops, he, of course, is not the only issue with the Patriots. I mean, N'Keal Harry, he's had some issues with drops in the few games that he's been in the NFL. Jacoby Myers has had issues with drops. widespread throughout the Patriots wide receiver depth chart, drops has been an issue. And look, the big thing here with Tom Brady is that if you can't hang onto the ball, you can't do your job, you're not going to get the ball. The problem here with Tom Brady, though, is that he has nowhere else to go to, okay? He tries to use his running backs, and defenses are starting to realize how to stop the Patriots offense because it's predictable, okay? At this point, he has Julian Edelman and James White. Patriots try to mix it up a little, throw Sonny Michel there in the passing game, and Sonny Michel cannot catch for anything. A slight improvement from last season, but when I say slight, I mean slight. So when you boil down all of this and you look at the clear-cut, deep meaning of all these little situations, what is it? It's miscommunication and the lack of trust. That's what it is between Tom Brady and his wide receivers and why nothing is clicking. Look, Tom Brady entered this upcoming season that we're currently in with just 2 wide receivers that he had previously. One of those guys which had barely been a factor before while being with the Patriots in Philip Dorsett. Every other receiver that we're talking about that is currently with the Patriots, Tom Brady had never worked with before. And if there's one thing that we've learned since watching Tom Brady and the Patriots offense and their scheme, it's that the Patriots don't need these top-tier guys. Okay, they just don't. They can thrive off of a season with guys like Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan. They can do better with those types of receivers that have been with the team longer than, let's say, guys like Josh Gordon, Demaryius Thomas, Antonio Brown, who just joined the team. And why does that work like that? It's because to Tom Brady, trust and that chemistry, that works way better than any Madden rating you are, than whatever skill level you have. Let's look back on the 2017 season for a second. The Patriots had one of the best offenses that season. I believe they might have been the best ranked offense that season, actually. And it's because that season, Tom Brady had guys like Dion Lewis, James White. He had Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan, Rob Gronkowski. He didn't have Julian Edelman that season because he was out for the season. But Brady had guys that he's been working with for years and years. And because of that, Brady knows the type of receiver they are. He knows every single weakness and every single strength that receiver has. Brady knows the exact speed they have. He knows the second that they'll get off each snap, the elusiveness that they have. And then to flip the script, the receivers know Tom Brady. They know what's expected. They know how to communicate him even while the play is currently going on the field. And because of that, the chains keep moving. In 2017, the Patriots also had star wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Okay, now Brandon Cooks put up pretty respectable numbers for the Patriots, and he made a pretty good impact. But one of the big things with Brandon Cooks was that Brady was getting frustrated with him, and it was obvious because Brandon Cooks had one issue with drops, and two, they had a lack of a communication and a lack of chemistry. There'd be times where Tom Brady is throwing a ball 20 yards away in the other direction from Brandon Cooks because Brandon Cooks is running an entirely different route. And that was actually part of why they ended up trading him to the Los Angeles Rams that season, was because although he put up respectable numbers, although he was definitely a threat at the next level, the communication there between Tom Brady and Brandon Cooks just wasn't what they expected and wasn't what it should have been. And really the only reason that it worked out as well as it did between Brandon Cooks, Tom Brady, and the Patriots is because of the talent level that Brandon Cooks has, okay? The Patriots do not currently have a receiver as talented as Brandon Cooks, and that's just the truth of the matter. Finding a guy as talented as Brandon Cooks is no walk in the park. And the fact that the Patriots lead the NFL with the most miscommunicated plays really speaks volumes to the issues they have. Now, interestingly enough, the Chiefs are second behind them, except the Chiefs only have 10 of those plays, while the Patriots lead with 19. A lot of people that are not really looking close into the situation between Tom Brady and the wide receivers might think, the offensive line is not giving enough time, which at times might be true, but since Isaiah Wynn has come back, it's actually been a huge help. And the Patriots and Tom Brady, last game versus the Texans, Tom Brady had more time in the pocket than he's ever had in years. I mean, it was record-putting. But it didn't matter because the receivers were giving up on plays way too early. They weren't showing enough effort. They weren't communicating with Tom Brady. And then, of course, when you're just going to straight up run the wrong route, there's going to be an issue. And look, I get earlier on in the season if that's going to be an issue for some of the new guys, but when we are almost at the end of the season, reaching playoff and Super Bowl time, and it's a constant issue for the same guys, then there's obviously going to be an issue going forward. Guys, the Patriots have the talent to do very, very good things on offense, okay? The offensive line can do its job. Tom Brady can do his job, okay? He might not be putting up stats like we've seen Tom Brady in the past. He might have had thrown some questionable balls this season. But for this dynamic to start working and for the offense to start clicking, the receivers are the ones that need to step up. Because let me tell you, if there's one thing I've learned about Tom Brady, it's that he has to be one of the most picky quarterbacks that I have ever seen. If you break his trust, if he feels even the slightest like he can't trust you, then he's going to give the ball anywhere else. And the fact that Tom Brady really doesn't have much of another place to go to is the reason why you're seeing him back there in the pocket for so long, resulting in either sacks, him throwing the ball away, or him just chucking the ball, hoping that it's going to be a completion, and then it either turning into an interception or a play that should have been intercepted. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully, I could clear things up a little bit on the issues between Tom Brady and his wide receivers for you guys. But what are your thoughts on the whole situation? Do you think that it will be cleared up by playoff time? Let me know in the comments below. And also subscribe and like this video if you have not already. And share this video with everybody you know so we can go to the Patriots Global family. But other than that, I'll catch you guys in my next video.